The next presentation is by architect Fazal Noor, who has made significant contributions to architecture, including designing innovative housing schemes and residential buildings. Architect Fazal Noor is deeply committed to community development and has served as the country representative for Ashoka, Innovators of the Public, promoting social entrepreneurship in Pakistan. His passion for sustainable urbanization led to collaborations with UN Habitat, focusing on creating livable urban spaces. Recognized for his expertise, architect Fazal Noor was appointed to lead the Department of Architecture and Environmental Design at Sir Syed University of Engineering and Technology, Karachi, where he mentors and inspires future architects. Additionally, he has contributed over 30 publications to the field, specializing in housing and community development, architectural curriculum development, and online pedagogy. I would like to request architect Fazal Noor to please come up on stage.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, fellow architects, students. I hope you had a good lunch and a nap afterwards. My this presentation is a sharing of experiences related to an identity project which I began somewhere around 2005. This presentation that I'm sharing with you is something which I have made for this particular theme of space making and place making, and to see the intersection between them. So space and space making, for me, when we say space or space making, it relates to creating a space for a function that we desire, a utility that we need. And so maybe we need a space for parking, and so we would like to say that space needs to be created. But a space making, the need has three, I feel, components. The first is, of course, the need for physical space. The second is a social space, like freedom, ease, or maybe security. So space just does not have a connotation of a physical space, but also for a social space. And the third, which this presentation is all about, is a marker. So if I take the example of a parking space, I would need a space to park my car. That would be a physical space. I would like to have a security and a sort of a ease of movement. That would be a physical, social space. And then one would say, oh, where did I park my car? So that remembering where I parked my car would be a marker so that I can come back to it. And that is where we start to talk about identity. So this slide is like, I could be anywhere. And this slide highlights Istanbul. So there is a landmark that tells us about the place. And when it tells us about the place, it means there's an identity that is linked between the place and the landmark. So skylines of a city give an identity to the city. You won't find this skyline everywhere. But in an international and globalization mode, what we find, and you will see that because of the smog and because of the way that the city grows, we find the skyline to diminish, to be foggy. It's not really understood. What we are left with is the declining ground line. We find the nature receding, declining. And so we are not very sure of the identity. What is our identity? So this identity project actually started when I read a book by Fazal Noor called The Indus Saga. I was at that time studying the development of civil society in Pakistan, and I was looking at social entrepreneurship and trying to see people who have new ideas. And so when I was looking at the book, Fazal Noor pointed to Pakistan as having two types of culture. One on the left bank of river Indus and one on the right bank. And on the left bank, he said this is a cow culture. So the cow culture is an agriculture, an agrarian-based culture which has a surplus of wealth. It is where the accumulation of wealth is through a caste system that dictates division of labor and benefits the influential. It is a culture of festivities, of color. It is liberal and embracing change. It is connecting. It is trades. So the cow culture is a vibrant culture. From the left bank of Indus, where we have Kashmir, Punjab, and Sindh, it spreads on to the Indian subcontinent and further down. So the old city of Lahore, if you look at it, with its color and with all its set, is an architecture that represents the cow culture. The Badshahi Mosque, in that, is the term itself, Badshahi, speaks of power and influence and of wealth. On the right side bank of the Indus, where we have Balochistan and Waziristan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, this spreads on to Afghanistan and Central Asia. This is the horse culture. The horse culture is a culture with its own code of honor, of dressing, of diet. It has a context of ruggedness. It depends on a subsistence economy, which is nomadic, people who are herders, who are warriors, and they have a sort of an unwavering belief in conservative Islam nowadays. And they pay the price of being fiercely independent. The nomadic huts of Central Asia represent the architecture of the horse culture. The Khyber Pass, this gate is an architectural landmark, but otherwise in the horse culture, the landmarks are like pass, rivers, gorges. So this I took in identity as the first layer of identity. The first layer of identity is whether we are tribal or we are agrarian. The second layer of identity is our religion. And this identity has come to the subcontinent in the 8th century, and it has brought with it the same, the influence of Arabs and of via the Persian and Central Asian links. So from the Badshahi Mosque to Qaid's Mausoleum to the Bahria Town Mosque, you will find domes and minarets, and you will find structures based on arches and walls. This identity, because Pakistan is a large majority of Muslims, this second layer of identity gels in with it. And for architects in Pakistan, it is very difficult to come out of this niche. However, the contemporary Pakistani identity, following, as you have heard from Rabila, the modernity project, the colonization of India and Pakistan, we have developed a third layer of identity where, despite our agrarian or tribal nature identity, despite our Muslim or another religious, we have become modern. We are school educated or aspire to be school educated. If you ask anyone whether they would like to go to madrasa, that is a secondary option. That is a supplementary option. That is not the option. So there's an aspiration to modernize. Whether it's in the cities or in the rural areas, people want to become modern. And what all these three layers coming about has done is, it has caused fragmentation and polarization in our society. The society is caught in transformation. Some of us lag behind. Some of us living in the remote areas still live with the tribal culture. Those of us living in urban areas live with a connected global culture. So we find that there are inequalities, there is anarchy, and there is a rapidly growing population which is going out of control. And Pakistan is now a challenge to the world. So we are like a stateless people with faceless architecture. So where do we go from here? So I feel that since the divided identity is natural and historical, but since globalization gives us a chance to be plural and diverse, we can break out of this through small, incremental, affordable, and decentralized people-based solutions. And these are there are 3 experiments that we have done that I would now like to share with you. So first is, we want to build a global identity, that instead of being caught in the transformation stage, we bring the people out. Architects play a role in integrating communities with the global process. So what we did as an experiment was, we relearned, we replanted, we repainted, we revived, we recycled, and we recreated. And this is an example of our work with Rana Liaquat Ali Craftsman Colony. Here we started this project very small and with Shahid Abdullah Sahab, and he was looking at renovating 2 rooms of recovery center within this larger complex, and we went with him, and we learned from him that we should do what is easy to do and what is affordable. We should not become too ambitious. And in doing that, we felt that what we could do was, one, we designed a bamboo-covered veranda in front of the two-room recovery center with arch floor, and we conserved the courtyard in front of it. Then we felt that the client, the Rana Liaquat Ali Center, Craftsman Colony, when they saw this, they felt that there was an old maternity home there which had fallen into disrepair. They wanted that repaired and put into use again. And so we did that with Shahab Ghani Saab, and we learned how to conserve and redesign for contemporary use. Then one of our students did her thesis on master planning of that complex, and she conserved the trees and designed how to recharge the groundwater there. And now, as the client wants a new livelihood center built there, our alumni, and I think one of our alumni might be here who is designing this, so they have started designing a complex there, and so we are looking at it. For us, this is an experiment. This is the old clinic, maternity clinic, and we marked all the trees, and we said all the trees needs to be conserved and not cut down, and how to rebuild this and redesign this clinic and bring it to new use. And below there, I think you can see the and the bottom you can see the recovery clinic. That is where we started with, but then we started to took off all of this, and now there is a bigger part of it which is 4 times this we are working with. Oops. Then second was the Zia colony as a adoption. Here we took the an assignment given by the Higher Education Commission, where they wanted to apply certain sustainable development goals to developing a Kachi Abadi. And they gave this assignment to all the universities, and we selected Zia colony for this purpose. In Zia colony, we didn't learn from any architects, but from a retired colonel who was very persistent and who really wanted to get things done. And so we learned from him how small collaborative steps, incrementally done to support what the people were doing, could really help out. And in this, then we learned from the local residents that their socio-economic development is need-based. So what do we do here? And so one of the things, in a way to merge their identity, and then many of them are Bengalis, and so their status as a citizen is sort of stateless, and they live in a sort of in a manner which is like hidden from the world, but they wanted to come out. So one of the ways to help them come out was that we brightly repainted their houses, especially those facing the Liari Expressway, so that the people can see that here is a community which is not a slum of despair, but they are a settlement of hope. They want to do something. They want to improve. So to integrate that Kachi Abadi into the city fabric and make it a part of the city skyline, we brightly painted the facade of it. And the students, when we started to do this, did it by painting the park walls of the park and brightly colored it, and you can see that we also planted trees there, so that this park, which was like a abundant place, became a place for the children to play in, for the children to gather in, and it gave a sense of identity to the community. The third is, after the 2022 rains, we have started looking at the rural area also and extending our outreach to rural areas. And here we are building a model village in one of the villages in Tando Alayar. And here we are looking not at designing just a room, but we are looking at how to design a whole village. And in that, for us, the important thing that we learned from the villagers is that house is not a room. Mostly we all make a room for the villagers, but they said this is not a room. We also need a place to cook. We also need a place for our animals. We also need a place for toilets and services. So now we are looking at all of these things. And when we talked to the Vadera of that area, he talked about responsibility. He said, as things happen, we have to respond to those needs of the villagers and of the government. And so the government, he said, may build infrastructure, but they will never maintain it. And so the important thing is how to prepare a design where villages can maintain what can be built by government investment. We have also gone into it, and now we are part of the working group on settlements planning with the UN Habitat and the government of Sindh. And here we are looking at technologies, because now we need to learn new technologies to be able to respond better to them. So these are some of the ways that we are looking at village planning. So in short, what we are doing is we are looking at urban settlements and villages, and we are looking at globalizing them. And in globalizing them, we feel decentralized alternative energy is an important aspect. We feel that we need to get away from network infrastructure to more people-centered, affordable architecture and services, and invest in people-led development. This is our learning, and this is a continuing project, and we will take it from here to a different level, and maybe next time we will be able to share some more things with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Fazal Saab, for sharing your extensive knowledge with us.